Well, we have Yosef Abramowitz joining us. He's a president and CEO of Energiya Global Capital, and he's been named as one of the top 6 green pioneers worldwide. So first of all, Yosef, how do you feel about this plan for 30% of Israel's energy to be renewable by 2030?
Look, it's good news and bad news. It's good news and it's bad news. The good news part is that it does essentially double our Paris climate commitments from embarrassingly low to low, and will be embarrassing in 2030. The decisions we're taking today in the state of Israel on energy are going to affect the next generation worth of energy policies, strategy, and pricing. And what the cabinet just did is lock in a 70% expensive and polluting gas monopoly in a country that is just blessed with unbelievable amounts of sunshine.
Now, what are your main concerns about this? I mean, obviously, when you compare this projection, this goal to other OECD countries, it doesn't match, right?
Not at all. First of all, the comptroller just came out with a report criticizing the government that it's actually not addressing climate change and is not passing climate-friendly policies, and then all of a sudden they just passed this very unfriendly policy. So we have climate change and they're not doing anything about it. The second is that they've brought in Chevron, the second largest polluter on the planet, right into our shores. And that's dangerous for this state of Israel because they have a terrible environmental track record, terrible respect for local laws. The first thing they did on their first day in Israel, they threatened to cut off the gas if they can't charge a third more. And that's really, really bad behavior. The other thing is that solar energy now is a third the price of natural gas. And so it's nice that the energy minister says we're going to save about $2.5 billion a year with a 30% goal. But you know what? We should be saving $5 billion a year, and the difference is going into the pockets of Chevron and Delek.
Of course. Well, why do you think that Israel is aiming for such a low number when it comes to renewable energy as compared to these other developed nations?
It's not good. Look, I would say that we have taken very bad decisions, not in the interests of the public, but in the interests of certain parties, and that is working against the interests, the health interests, the energy security interests, the financial interests of the state of Israel. And so you've had a government in place basically for over a decade that has shepherded this through, and they're looking out for very special interests, and that's problematic because, as you said,
problematic.
we're going to be at the bottom of the OECD on renewables, and what the good part, one little piece of good news is that from Eilat, from the Red Sea to the Dead Sea, we're already at 100% daytime solar. That should be the goal for the state of Israel. It shouldn't be 70-30 renewables and gas. It should be 50-50.
Right.
Solar take the day and let the gas take the night.
Right, Yossi. So I want you to obviously tell us about what you've accomplished here in Israel. You just mentioned obviously 100% solar energy during the day down in the south, but what are your goals for the future, and what are you in the process of doing right now?
So look, the government decision means we've lost the battle, but we haven't lost the war. We're working now with Adam Teva V'Din to create a climate bill, one of our obligations under Paris. And we hope that the climate bill will actually set a 50% renewables goal by 2030, which would actually just put us in line with our neighbor Jordan and with Morocco, and will still actually be below many of the OECD countries. So we're pushing for a climate bill soon for 50% renewables goal by 2030.